Welcome to part 2 of our arthropod notes. There's only about 17 slides that I'll go through. I think the most time-consuming part for you is just labeling the diagrams. It's going to be important for you to get the labels down because we'll be dissecting a crayfish and you'll have to identify many of the parts that you'll be labeling. So we're going to start with general characteristics in subphylum Crustacea. And obviously you can see that these are going to be crustaceans, but there are going to be a few surprise organisms in here that you did not realize are considered crustaceans. Generally, these guys all have two pairs of antennae. They have one pair of mandibles, and that is the lower jaw. They have a pair of compound eyes, and usually they're located on a stalk. They have two pair of maxillae on their heads. Those are going to be like their upper jaw. And they have a pair of appendages on each body segment. Crustacean bodies are usually made up of a head, thorax, and an abdomen, so they're going to have 3 body segments. Here's one of the surprises. When I started teaching this class, I did not realize that the little potato bugs that roll up, the roly-polies, I didn't realize they were considered crustaceans. And their environment has to be moist because they use gills to breathe. They're very adapted for land. Obviously, they don't have to be submerged in water, but they do have to remain moist so they can exchange gases. The Daphnia, you actually saw some of these when we looked at pond water. When we did that lab very early in the year, you saw little guys zooming around in the water. That was one of these. That was a little crustacean. Copepods, you may have seen them as well. It was probably difficult to tell the difference between the copepods and the Daphnia because they're both pretty tiny and we were using dissecting microscopes. But they probably zoomed around a bit on you too. Barnacles are also a type of crustacean. Many people think that they are a mollusk, but they are not. They are types of crustaceans. Here's the general anatomy of a barnacle. You can see barnacles on a whale. Okay, so now we have another subphylum, the Myriapoda, and we're going to talk about class Chelopoda, and there's another class. And there's not very many organisms in this subphylum. We have centipedes, they're in the class Chelopoda. They have one pair of legs per body segment. They have a poison fang, they have flat bodies, and they're carnivores. And I'm sure you've seen these around. And then we have class Diplopoda. These are millipedes, and they will have two pairs of appendages per body segment. Their bodies are more cylindrical or round, and they are herbivores. And those are some important differences between these two classes. I believe there is a question on your test that asks about that. So I would definitely write down those few details. This is the last slide for part 2, so you can take another break and or you can pick right up with part 3.